Hello and welcome back to Loud Creations. In today's video, I am going to do the second part in my elderberry cinnamon Cyser melomel methylglyn. It's a combo mead. But anyway, I'm going to be taking this and siphoning out the liquid and putting it into a 1 gallon carboy. This is a 1.5 gallon. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough liquid for an actual gallon once I take it off the berries. I did start this, gosh, it's been a little over 2 weeks. And so it's a little bit longer than I probably would have normally kept it on the berries, but it's been a busy couple weeks. It looks like there's not very much pressure in here anymore. So I'll be curious to see if it's already dried out or if the yeast are done doing their thing. We'll be checking the ABV. I'll also be tasting it to see if there's any cinnamon flavor to it. I put a cinnamon stick in when I rehydrated the elderberries, but I don't know if that's really gonna transfer into the mead. So I have some cinnamon sticks. I'll probably put a cinnamon stick in for a little bit in secondary. And also, I am going to talk about some of the folklore and uses for elderberry as well as cinnamon and apple. And so let's get to it. Okay, so I have a bucket that I'm going to put this on top of to elevate it to make the siphoning work. We'll put that up there. Let me see. I'm going to get my siphon out of the sanitization fluid. Everything here has been sanitized, including my hands. All right, this is a little bit drippy, but I'm just going to go with it. Take this off. And like in my other videos, I have one little fruit fly that's trying really hard to get into this, which the thing is, they get into the airlocks and then oops, I almost forgot because I was fixating on the fruit flies. I'm going to put this mesh bag over this to kind of limit the amount of berry and sediment that I add into secondary. And speaking of, I was adding stuff in. I can see a lot of fluid in there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting this end of the tube into my secondary container. And I'm going to put this one up here. Just pump it a couple times and hopefully it'll just get going. And we'll see if I measured everything out right. Looks like there's quite a bit on the bottom and there's quite a bit of berries floating around on the top. So hopefully this gallon container will be just right. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Okay, so it's pretty much perfect. Go ahead and just set everything down over there. And next step is I'm going to check the gravity for this. I'm also going to taste a little bit. So let's get this. Got my hydrometer. So much extra fluid in here. Oh my gosh, you know what I forgot? Be right back. Okay, so I had forgotten to, there's that little fruit fly, I'm telling you. I forgot to sanitize my little turkey baster. I feel like I'm just batting flies away this whole time. Maybe there's more than one, I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop fixating on the flies for a minute. Blue bubbles in my mead again. What this tastes like. I mean, it's obviously only a little over 2 weeks in. It has a nice color. It's like dirty grape juice. Okay, one more. I'm already dripping on my. Oh no, it's still floating. Let's see. Give it a little spin to get the bubbles off so you can get an accurate reading. Shoe fly. Okay, we're at 1.02. 1.02. And I'm just gonna, actually, before I calculate the ABV, I'm gonna go ahead and pour this a little bit into a cup and the rest back in. Get this out of here so that I can protect the mead from this little scavenger that's flying in circles around me right now. Okay, so I have my bung that I'm going to put in there. I might be adding cinnamon depending on how this tastes. So actually, let's. Well, can't really describe. Hold on. It's surprisingly smooth. I can taste the alcohol. It's a little bit tart. Hmm. Yeah, I bet this will be good after it sits for a little while, but I am going to add a cinnamon stick. I don't want to overpower it with cinnamon, so I'll probably be checking in after maybe 3 or 4 days to see if it's added anything to the flavor. And yeah, I mean, surprisingly smooth, totally drinkable. It's not very sweet, even with the 1.020 gravity. So, no. You can definitely taste the apple still. And elderberry is kind of that earthy flavor. So it's like kind of an earthy apple, which is, I think will be better. I might back sweeten this a little bit in the end, but for now, I'm just going to pick a little cinnamon stick. And just pop this in there. I don't know how I'm going to fish it out. I'll probably have to rack it again when I've decided to pull that out. I'm going to get my airlock. Put one of these on. And I've decided that I prefer these airlocks as opposed to the more cylindrical ones, because you can hear it when it's bubbling, and I like hearing the bloop 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 when the yeast is doing its work, but also then you can see if there's pressure in here. Seems to me that the yeast stopped doing their thing. I did use I used Go Firm at the beginning, and then I used Yeast Nutrient Fermade O, And I think in my last video, I kept referring to Fermate O as Go Firm. So my apologies for that. Took me a while to notice. But so the yeast nutrient is Fermate O. It's an organic yeast nutrient, and that's why I'm using it. I followed about 85% of what the website I was using told me to do. And, and then it dropped off because life got busy and I forgot about my mead. But it tastes much better than a lot of my other young meads. And so I have high hopes for this. I think the yeast nutrient probably had something to do with that. I don't know. I think the more I do it, the more I'll get the hang of it. But okay, so I'm going to set this aside. I think we're good. I put a cinnamon stick in it. This is actually going to sit once I rack out the cinnamon stick and do whatever else I want to. I'm going to let it sit for 6 months. So it's going to be a while until we do a tasting on this and a bottling. But as it is now, it's drinkable, and already it's not the greatest flavor. So I'm hoping to improve on that a little bit with a little bit of back sweetening and the cinnamon. So we'll see how that goes. And while we're at it, why don't we just figure out what the ABV is? I just went back and verified, and it was 1.112. So that makes this approximately, it's like 12.5, 13% ABV as it is. We'll see if it ferments anymore. You can see some bubbles coming up. So I didn't degas it. Haven't been the best about that, but I might do that when I rack off the cinnamon. So now that I have racked the mead, I thought I would go over some of the information about elder and elderberries. Elderberries grow on the elder tree. You can use the flowers, the berries, and I believe basically every part of the tree. It does have to be cooked because they're poisonous otherwise. And so that's why I rehydrated and cooked the elderberries before putting them in my mead. I don't know if I had to do that, but that's just to be safe. That's what I did. And it's always good to do your own research before playing around with different herbs, because even though they grow in nature and they're just herbs, they're not just herbs. There's a lot of them are very powerful, and a lot of them can be quite toxic. I mean, it could be, this could be bad. So always do your own research. Just to start off there. But moving on. Elder is ruled by Venus, as is the sun sign of Libra. And since we started this mead with the new moon in Libra, that's why I chose Elder. And also, depending on the source, it's associated with the element of air. Some sources I've read also associates it with fire, which is interesting. But since we're going through the polarity of Libra and Aries, I am cool. Then I can represent Aries too, because Aries is a fire sign. But in folklore and magic, its basic powers are for love and protection and purification. And that kind of ties in with the medicinal value as well. So Libra rules the kidneys. It rules the distillation and filtration centers in the body. So Elder is a nice addition to this mead because it helps to purify the body and eliminate toxins. So getting that internal balance going, because the sign of Libra is all about balance. So we want to eliminate all of those toxins for sure. So also being ruled by Venus, Libra seeks harmony and beauty. And so I also did this as a Cyser and added an apple, which is associated with Venus. And Venus, is the goddess of abundance and creation and love and beauty and harmony. And so I added that in as well to represent the Libra side of things. And then to fire it up and spice it up a little bit, I added in some cinnamon. So based on the books that I've been using, cinnamon is ruled by the sun and the element of fire. And Aries is a fire sign. It's a cardinal fire sign. So cardinal signs tend to be the initiators and the ones that get the momentum going and start something. So cinnamon is also directly related to Aries as a cardinal fire sign. And it's a lovely addition because it brings out the fiery passion and action from a place of love. So that's my goal with this, is blending the herbs associated with the signs for the moon cycle to create a lovely medicinal Mead, Cyser, Melomel, Metheglin. Just to go over that again, a Cyser is like an apple cider, but it's sweetened with honey. Metheglin is a spiced mead or an herbal mead. And then a melomel would be a fruit-based mead. And elderberry, that could be a fruit or an herb, depending on, if you use the flowers, I guess that would be an herb. And the cinnamon is an herb, and the apple is also a fruit. So we have, and a Cyser. So I'm excited about this one. I think it'll be really good during cold season next year. I'm going to try to hold on to it as much as I want to drink it now. And I think that's it. Before I drop off here, I also have my big book of herbal medicine. And I just ordered this online, a while ago. But I just want to read some of the medicinal uses for cinnamon and for elder. Cinnamon. So the parts used are the inner bark and leaves, and the medicinal uses of cinnamon include helps stop vomiting, relieves flatulence, and is useful for getting rid of diarrhea. Some medical doctors are now encouraging their patients to consume cinnamon each day to reduce their blood sugar and blood pressure and cholesterol levels. And you can also have a cinnamon tea for nausea or apply it externally for like a fungal infection. As an essential oil, it's a potent antibacterial and antifungal ointment. So it has a variety of uses, just like most of the herbs here. And there are some risks along with it, depending on the type of cinnamon that you're using. One of the types can thin your blood, so that could be dangerous for certain people. That you want to keep that in mind. It can also be, if you use it too much, it can hurt your kidneys and your liver as well. So as with anything, you want to check with a professional if you're going to be using something daily, because even cinnamon can mess you up, like if you take the supplements too much, according to this book. And elder, the parts of the plant used are dried berries or flowers. That's what it says here. You have to use it cooked, not raw. So here are the medicinal uses for elder. They are antiviral, diuretic, and a laxative. They are also a good source of anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. They contain vitamins A and C, calcium, They contain vitamins A and C, calcium, thiamine, niacin, potassium, and protein. Elderberries can help prevent colds and flu and relieve congestion. Also, if you use the dried flower, it's anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and helps remove excess mucus from the body. And one of its best known abilities is bringing on a sweat, which that's interesting. So it's very often used for beauty treatments to help a myriad of skin issues, include from diaper rash to rosacea. So elder has just, it's all over the stores right now with the herbal supplements and medicines for cold and flu especially. And that's about it for the medicinal uses of elderberry. Okay, and now I have this Encyclopedia of Natural Magic, which has been a fun, it gives all the information about the planetary associations with different herbs, as well as the astrology and how they've been used and what the magical uses are for these, which is tied in with the folklore. So it gives a little background on the folklore as well. And so I thought I'd read a little bit about each. I don't believe, is apple in here? Apple's in here. Okay. I should know because I marked it. So shows how my memory is working. So to start with the elder, the lore behind the elder, it says, a powerful and magical tree, elder has both helpful and harmful powers. It's held to be unlucky to bring an elder into the house, and to burn an elder log in the fireplace was a traditional way to summon evil spirits. If elder was used to build a crib or a cradle, the tree spirit would attack the child. placed there and pinch it black and blue. Well, that's pretty awful. In some areas, it was claimed that the elder only grew where blood had been shed, and to fall asleep under an elder tree was to risk madness. Based on all the folklore that I read online and then in the books that I have around elder, what I got, the gist is that you need to treat the tree with respect and use it according to certain rules around the tree. So you've got that. Here's the folklore for apple. The apple has a wide range of traditional lore and magical customs connected with it in different countries. It's sometimes a fairy tree, and the last apple of the year's crop should always be left in the tree to ensure good harvests. If you like the content that I'm creating here, if you're interested in mead making, which is so much fun and you get to get really creative with it, please like and subscribe and join me on my journey making mead. And also, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about astrology, I have videos that will be linked at the end of this video where you can learn a bit about each of the zodiac signs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.